What's up and welcome back to Kinda Funny's Transformers in Review. That's right, we're ranking, recapping, and reviewing every single Transformers movie. Of course, I am your host, Tim Geddes. I am joined today by the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Good morning.
It's Christmas in September, Joey Noel.
I'm back on the in review that I wasn't originally on, but now I'm on.
We're back, baby. And rounding out the group today, we have the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hello,
Nailed
Tim.
it. You absolutely nailed it.
Sounded
Speaking
really
of
good.
nailing it, Andy, your hair right now, I like it. There's something going on with the Andy wisp that's like, it's
The
wisping
wisp?
Can
different.
you look at that camera?
It's very long.
Thank you.
I
And
like
you're also
it
wearing
long.
this acid wash shirt, which
Yeah.
is kind of working for me.
Thanks,
This
bro.
is good. It's good.
It's a
Yeah.
good look.
Thank you, man. Thank you,
Some
guys.
fun
Wow.
combos going on.
Great day. It's a good day so far.
What are you doing? What are you doing, Andy?
I'm trying to, because every day when we're going to do an in review, I always have to go back and watch the old versions to see what was the plot song. Fun fact, no plot song here.
Oh, okay.
I think I was just angry
Yeah.
at the
Fair
whole
enough.
state of things, you know?
Yeah.
But
Wasn't a Linkin Park one?
no, I mean, well, honestly, some of them Kevin wasn't timestamping. So
There could have been.
that made it a bit tougher, but I did go back and watch more recent ones where like I went to where the plot was about to begin and there was just Nick would just
Nothing.
jump into it. It's like I probably told Nick to just jump right into it. Maybe I didn't have it at that time. No, we did a Linkin Park one for a different movie, I think. But what I
How
wanted
many
to
other
do,
Linkin Park
Yeah.
movie franchises have we done?
what I wanted to do was just send Barrett one of these links. I think maybe it was Revenge of the Fallen because I was scrolling one of these. I was like, God damn, it's just a different era.
I
4
know.
years ago.
Yeah.
4
yeah.
years ago
And-
is when this started.
And what's wild in one of the videos, I go, what's crazy is like we were comparing one of these Transformers movies to Fate of the Furious, Fast and Furious. We were just, I don't know, there's like, yeah, but like those movies, like, you know, we were just talking about them, comparing them, and I was like, wow, I've really been working here at Kinda Funny for a long time
Yeah.
because I remember when Fate of the Furious was coming out and blah, blah, blah. It's like, God damn, that was 4 years ago that I said that. So let me send this to Assets real quick because it's just it's a time capsule. You
It
know?
really is.
It's a different look.
Oh, yeah.
It's we
Us
didn't-
trying our best.
no logos on the screen, no indication of what you were watching. It was just a work from home setup. This must have been the first 3 months of work from home.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Kevin moving
look,
to overlay
my
during
theater is
shot.
like so baby status there. Like it's like so far from being complete. Nick's in his weird little closet.
Okay.
I
It
didn't
was
even-
a charming little closet.
And I didn't even have the Cyberpunk chair that I've already replaced.
Oh my
This was like the older Respawn chair. Man,
Yeah, that
it
was my hand-me-down, which also is just no longer in our apartment.
and all of us using our Logitech webcams.
Your wisp is so short.
A much shorter wisp. Yeah.
I have no gray in my beard. It's like fucking upsetting, everybody. Holy shit. God, the goddamn pandemic. It'll do some things to
man, a lot of stress.
you. Everybody. Well, this is Transformers in Review. We've come such a long way. We're talking about Transformers 1. Actually, it's in review. Every single week, we rank, review, recap different movie franchises. We all have a fantastic time, and we appreciate you all hanging out with us as we do that. You can, of course, get it on YouTube. You can get it on podcast services. Just search for In Review, and we'll be right there for you. You can go above and beyond, though. Become a Kinda Funny member. You can do that on Patreon or YouTube. You can also be a Patreon producer like Daryl Levine, James Hastings, Casey Andrew, Carl Jacobs, and Nathan Lamoth. We appreciate you also very much.
Thank you.
Of course, you get the Daily Greg Way every single day exclusively. You also get every show ad-free, which is really, really nice. So you won't need to hear the ads from Shady Rays and Hymns. But enough of all of that. Let's get into it. We're talking about Transformers 1 with a runtime of 1 hour and 44 minutes. Released on September 20th, 2024. It was directed by Josh Cooley. Did Josh Cooley ring any bells for y'all?
No.
Not at all.
A filmmaker and storyboard artist. He started his career as an intern, mostly working as a storyboard artist on films, including The Incredibles, the first two Cars movies, Rat-Tat-Tooey, Up, as well. He then is best known for directing the animated films Toy Story 4 and Transformers 1, with the former winning the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. He also co-wrote the screenplay for Inside Out in 2015, in which he was nominated for Academy Award for Best Original
hands.
Screenplay. He does. The music was done by Brian Tyler, who has done a ton of different scores of movies we've talked about in the past. None of the Transformers movies, though. New to the franchise here in terms of movies, but not in terms of TV shows. He did the score for Transformers Prime, which, in my opinion, the best Transformers show ever made. I am probably one of the dozen people in the world that noticed that he reused character themes and scores and moments of this movie, and I was like, I just love the place that I'm at in life right now.
When was this show? I don't know.
Transformers Prime. So Transformers 2007, the Michael Bay movies,
Yeah.
obviously like made Transformers more popular than they've ever been. After the success of the first movie, they released a show called Transformers Animated that was like really little kid focused to get them in, and that show was fantastic. But it's like you look at it and you're like, oh, this looks like some borderline Nick Jr. shit.
Okay.
Like it's like real little stuff. Even though the story was great, just the animation style was like it's for kids, and it was called Transformers Animated. Then in
Transformers
reaction
Jr.
to that, when a bunch of like grown man babies like me complained a lot, we're like, but what about our Transformers show?
We go on Reddit and it's just T Geddes
Yeah.
89. You're like, oh, I wonder who's complaining about that.
Why will they listen to us?
They made Transformers Prime after that, which was a fully CG show that was still a kid show, but it was a lot more serious and like kind of like in line with cool stuff.
Edgy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. People wore like torn pants.
I mean, it had the vibe more of like the 2007 Ninja Turtles CG movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
Okay.
it's a good thing, but it's
Torn
like
pants
they're
is what he
trying
went with.
they're trying to be edgy in a cool way.
Right.
Anyway, I love
darker.
Transformers Prime, and the score was great, and they used bits in this that were just killer. Shout out to Brian Tyler. The biggest musical crime of Transformers 1.
Oh gosh.
We know.
Here we go.
We all know.
You got the touch.
Well, they referenced that.
Oh shit.
But I wish that they actually played in it. No Linkin Park. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah,
I know this is new
obviously.
era. I know this is just Linkin Park is back, man. And I swear to God, if things had happened just like 6 months different, this movie would have ended with a Linkin Park song. So we were robbed of that. Budget
What
of
was the-
$75 million.
What was the actual song that played?
That ended this. It was a Quavo song.
No. What was the actual song that ended? What was the Linkin Park song?
What I've done.
What I've done.
Okay,
And then
gotcha.
New Divide.
Cool.
They're 3 for 3.
I mean, they're pretty dope.
I wish they would have done a.
These
I,
songs are pretty great.
I wish they would have done like a script sort of nod to it,
To those.
because all I could think of like in the end it doesn't really matter. Like if they were to have said
Do
that,
something Linkin
Yeah.
Park. Yeah.
I feel like they're so tied into the lineage,
Yeah.
and the
For
heritage
sure.
of
Well, I mean,
Transformers.
there's-
Especially with like Michael Bay producing this and
Yeah.
like having you basically have like it's Lorenzo de Bonaventura, like it's the whole team that made the other movies. So you would think that maybe they would put something in there for it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say without getting too
Like
ahead of
Spielberg
myself here,
producing.
like there was a surprising lack of like direct references to the Bay films. Like the only thing that I think was a direct homage was the end with Optimus kind of giving the whole speech. That was very much in the style
Yeah.
of all those movies ending with an Optimus speech. We'll get into that in a second, though. This one had a budget of $75 million, and we're 4 days into this. So far has a box office of $38 million. It debuted with $24.6 million, finishing second behind Beetlejuice on its second weekend.
There you go.
Things are not looking good for my Transformer boys.
That's a bummer.
The opening weekend gross was deemed disappointing. However, there is optimism that the film will do well over time. It is currently at an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics and a 98% from audience.
That's wild.
Yeah, so people are hoping for it. If you like Transformers at all, go watch this movie. I'm just going to say that off the rip.
I'd say even if you don't,
Yeah.
I
Thank
don't
you,
love
Andy.
Transformers.
Yeah.
I don't know
want to
how.
love it.
They weren't my vibe growing up, but I enjoyed this one, Tim.
Yeah.
Had a good time with it. Do you want me to start?
I
my
want to
thoughts?
start with Nick. I want to
Okay.
start with Nick
Oh,
because he's the only one I don't know his thoughts yet on this movie. What do you think of Transformers 1, which you saw last night?
Yeah, I think this might be the movie that I will forever think of as having the worst preview to best movie ratio.
Amen.
So and one of the reasons why I can understand why this movie might not be doing so well is because they legitimately tried to build this as some sort of kids comedy.
The opposite. Can we go with David Ayer's Suicide Squad?
Oh, that had a good
Best
trailer.
trailer to worst movie.
I don't remember that having a
Oh,
good
there's
trailer at
so
all, but
many.
I'll give
It
you
was
that.
sick as fuck. Yeah, it was like
Was it?
It was the first one I remember where the guns were shooting to the rhythm
To
of
the
the
rhythm,
music.
yeah.
I
Oh,
was like,
cool.
this is sick as
Harley
hell.
was doing the weird little twisty
Yeah, it
shit.
just wasn't.
I mean, I remember watching the trailer for this, being like, "Gosh, I hope we don't have to watch that movie," knowing fully well in the back of our minds that at some
God.
point we're going to probably have to watch this movie, and I was kind of dreading it, especially since some of the reviews from some outlets that shall not be named gave it very lower scores. And so I'm thinking to and I didn't like Chris Hemsworth in the trailer. I didn't particularly like Brian Tyree Henry in the trailer. I didn't think that any of it was going to work. I sit down, and the very first few shots of this film are stunning, and it has a very, very like darker sci-fi tone to it. And for the most part, halfway through the movie, actually maybe 20 minutes in, I'm like, I'm really enjoying this film, and I'm enjoying it. Not because it's a Transformers film, but because they kind of came at this and said, let's write a cool sci-fi film about this planet with this enslaved group for all intents and purposes, and there's something deeper going on. It reminded me a lot of The Matrix. It reminded me a lot of, for some reason, it gave me vibes of Live, Die, Repeat. I forget what the original one, title of that movie was.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. Thank you. It gave me those kind of like, hey man, if they wanted to push this a little more, this could be a PG-13 or like kind of harder edge movie. And honestly, looking at it as PG, I'm like, that's shocking to me because I don't think children should watch this movie. We were having a conversation on the podcast about little Benny watching this. I was like, absolutely not. That will terrify him. The arachnid monster, like
Arachnid. Can we just talk about that
Sure.
for a second? It's a spider helicopter. Arachnid.
Oh,
Let's
that's-
fucking go.
That's
really
sick.
cool.
Overall, really enjoyed this movie. I think it is a very, very. I think it's beautifully directed. I think the animation's stunning. Acting's
Them fight
good.
Scenes. Whew.
With the exception of a couple characters there that I'm sure we'll get into when we go there. But overall, I would say the only mark I have against it is it's very, very, very paint by numbers. But those numbers are good; they work. And so, and I, I would definitely recommend people go see this. Go see it in theaters. It's cool. The sound's freaking awesome. And yeah, the fighting, the choreography, the way it's cut, the way it's paced, even some of one of the things that I wanted to kind of just shout out before I forget was the direction of some of the mining sequences where it's sort of a pan, but there's a jump in time too. So the mining carts are getting more and more full, and sort of as we're showing them sort of working down there, I'm like, that is not something you traditionally see in an animated movie. That's something you might see in like an indie film. And I like that he brought some of those touches into this movie. For me, very enjoyable.
Andy.
Yeah, same. I mean, as somebody who was not really looking forward to watching this, especially after hearing what people thought of the trailers and watching some of like the promotional footage, I'm like, oh, I don't think Chris Hemsworth. I just don't think of him as a guy with a good American accent. I still don't think he had a great American accent in this one.
He had a decent
And
enough, almost Australian accent at moments.
It slips for sure, but I just expected this movie to be like kind of a big old piece of doo-doo, and I really enjoyed it. I think it gets like unimaginably hype near the end for like, it's one of those where it's like, you didn't need it, you didn't deserve to do this, but it kind of did, and I did enjoy those hype moments near the end. The tone of it, I've said it a bunch on a lot of different shows, but it humor-wise, it reminded me a lot of what the Lego movies kind of were going for, is especially a moment where when the main two protagonists are kind of, fangirling out over Sentinel Prime and being like, Sentinel Prime, so humble, so like, there's little moments like that that just remind me of how the Lego movies approach their comedy. I don't think it hits as consistently as the Lego movies comedy, but still really good in a lot of different ways. And I loved the art style. I loved the art direction. The animation and those action scenes were really, really damn good. I just had a really, really good time with it. It just like, there's something to say about watching a movie and having this kind of like good feeling, this good aura around you and in the theater. And it reminds me of like the opposite of whenever we're watching something that isn't very good, like if we're really unhappy about a certain DC movie or like even Shazam or something, and we're sitting there, we're like, man, like even if you deliver a good joke right now, it's still not going to hit like it should because I'm just kind of not digging
Not
any
gonna
of
pull
this.
this one out of the mire.
This movie just felt good to watch. It was like it's just like a very kind of positive vibe, and I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the dynamics. I really enjoyed Brian
Tyree Henry.
Henry.
I called it on stream. I called him Brian David Tyree, who's the New York Giants wide receiver that caught the ball with his helmet. Remember that guy in the Super Bowl with Eli Manning?
How could I forget?
Yeah. I call him Brad David Tyree. But Brian Tyree Henry, I think his performance is freaking awesome. And there's moments where you're watching it near the beginning of the movie and wondering, how is he going to turn into what we know he's going to turn into? And I just couldn't see it because I think he did such a great job of being this very lovable, positive feeling character. And then by the end of it, seeing that slowly transform, I think I really dug it. I thought he did a fantastic fucking job.
Now let me ask you this question: who did it better? Who did the turn to darkness better? What's his name? Ryan Coogler? Who's the director of this movie?
Josh Cooley?
Josh Cooley in this film, or George Lucas in the prequels?
Oh man, Master Skywalker, they're everywhere. What we gotta do?
Oh my God, I don't know about that one.
You remember that? You remember that?
I do remember that. But I remember it a little differently.
Master Skywalker, they're everywhere. What we gotta do? Little baby.
Oh yeah.
He's
We know what you're trying to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Joey, what did you think of it?
We've gone through such a journey with this one. I remember coming into the office the day that the trailer dropped, and morale was at an all-time low coming from Tim Getty's desk. It was a dire time. And
You just hear like the angry clicking of replaying it.
Yeah.
Like, the typing in the
hard
comments.
typing. And then slowly over these last few months, anytime somebody we knew or a friend of a friend or whatever had seen it, they were always like, pretty good. And then we're like, there's no way it's actually good. Like we can't trust everybody, but God damn it, they did it. Like this is the most enjoyable Transformers movie since the first one, maybe Bumblebee, I guess.
Say Bumblebee. Yeah.
I'd like
Yeah.
to. I'm very fascinated to see where this ranks.
I
Yeah.
don't want to get
We'll
ahead
get
of
there.
myself, but there's no way this isn't number one. But continue, Joe.
We also had the pleasure of seeing it in 4DX, which what a journey that was. And more importantly, it was a fan screenings because we saw it last Wednesday. So this theater was like packed with some of like the nerdiest of Transformers fans, which was fun for me because I don't really know the lore of Transformers that well. So things would be happening and you'd hear these like little bursts and pockets of excitement. I'm like, I don't know what that was, but clearly it was very exciting for people.
Should have gone with me and Tim. It was empty in there.
Empty?
And I was relentless with Andy. Anytime something cool happened, I was like, let's fucking go.
I had a group of like six guys behind me, like 3 rows behind me, that were popping the fuck off for everything,
yeah.
and it kind of made it better. I was
I
like,
love
yeah,
that.
that's some
That's
I
excitement
think
in
it's
the theater.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of movies I think are more fun to see with people that are also excited about them and not necessarily an empty theater. So sorry you missed out on that. But yeah, I was the first maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes of it. I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe this doesn't have the juice. But once we get into the race, I think that totally kind of changes the tone of it. And I was like engaged for the rest of the movie. Scarlett Johansson, I think, is like the one that stands out that was like kind of whatever and fine. Not my favorite. I think she also has like the most recognizable voice where it's kind of hard to lose her in a character, and she's just Scarlett Johansson, at least for me.
I don't disagree there.
Yeah.
Me too.
Keegan-Michael Key. Surprising. I thought they were going to lean into the trailer, overuse him. I laughed more than I didn't laugh at his stuff.
Oh wow, that
Really?
is the complete opposite for me.
Oh,
He was the one
interesting.
character in this movie that I wish just was not in the movie.
You didn't like his little fake robot?
I
friends?
just think that it was. I think that they were trying to Andy's point. I think they were trying to go for like, let's lighten this up. Let's put a character in here that kids are going to love. Let's make it more like the Lego Movie. And this movie did not need it. Anytime they leaned into the slapsticky humor like that, I was like, you're taking me out of the deep kind of lore sci-fi that I'm into this movie. I thought the back and forth with Hemsworth and D16, I'm like, that's all the humor I really need in this, buddy, because overarchingly, like, that served to sort of deflate some of the tension that they were building between those two friends and like that dynamic. And then you have just Keegan-Michael Key coming in. It reminds me a lot of like just peppering in Jack Black into movies because you're like,
Yeah.
this isn't funny enough, or like, let's have him say some shit off screen. It almost took me out of it. I did not care for that character at all.
Oh, they got some good laughs out of me.
There you go.
And yeah, I had a great time. Shocking. Never thought that would happen for a Transformers movie, truly. But Tim, everybody's here to hear what you think.
I'm beside myself with this movie. I've waited 35 years to get a Transformers thing that is this good, not just for people like me that care way too much about the lore of Transformers, but as a entry point that I can actually stand by and be like, hey, they didn't pull any punches. Like, this is Transformers. Like, this is why it's good. Like, it's there's no humans in this movie. I can't believe we got a Transformers movie without humans. Like fully on Cybertron, fully embracing the lore of Iacon City and like of the transformation cogs and the sparks and all of the stuff they get into. They didn't change things or they didn't do any of that stuff. It's like when we first saw Transformers 1, Michael Bay in 2007, it was like, oh, the all spark. It's this energy. It's like, why are you taking elements and turning them into something that they're not? And like, you're muddling the message and you're confusing all of this. Like you're taking something cool and taking different words and putting them on things, and you're just making this not great anymore. And it just becomes this generic action bullshit, whatever. This is straight up Transformers. And I think that leaning into that allowed them to just tell good stories with good characters. And that's all you need for a good movie. And these are robots that can transform into vehicles and have weapons, and then they fight. But what if we did that and it was legible? What if we did that and it didn't just look like freaking blended bullshit, like slapping at each other, but it was like you're actually following through some of the camera work of as an arm is transforming into a gun to shoot somebody, and it, like the camera like goes with the blast and follows through. I'm like, this is so good. And it just like, it was such a relief to see it and just be like, I knew it was possible. I'm not crazy. Like this movie, I've seen this movie in my head, you know, and now it exists. And I'm so excited that I feel if people go and see it, that we will get a sequel. And I believe in that. A lot of the things that they tease in this and like where they end this movie, I think is perfect and brilliant. Doesn't overstep. It just does exactly what it needs to do. I don't need to go on too long because everyone's already said this. Like the trailers were like very upsetting to me. And I thought that there was no coming back from it. The tone of them, not even just the jokes, but even like the plot points that they were setting up. Because in the trailer, you see a lot of the Alpha Trion, like giving them their transformation cogs. And I was like, this is the shittiest origin story I've ever seen. I can't believe they're doing this. In context of the movie, it's totally different. It's so great. This is a movie about body autonomy. Like there's like, this movie's actually trying to say something and like I think achieves it in a way that is so much more than you could have expected from a Transformers movie. But this was directed by a guy that's done Pixar stuff. Like this guy's Pixar legacy is seen in this movie, and the movie's gorgeous. It's animated beautifully. I don't like a lot of the character designs. That's a personal thing to me just because I know what I like from Transformers or whatever. Didn't get in the way of how stunning this film is. In terms of the voice actors, like obviously no one will ever be Peter Cullen. Like no one will be Frank Welker. Like they are Optimus. They are Megatron. And this movie would be better if they were. Just straight up, I think.
But
Brian Tyree I could kind of see, but
I think they made a very smart choice. Obviously, Chris Hemsworth being Chris Hemsworth, and I think it was good casting. But I think it humanizes them a lot more, and you can tell a much more relatable story when you don't have that obviously iconic voice of Optimus Prime. I think you needed to have these two characters start as like normal blue collar workers, and then as you can see them sort of. The sound design was really smart because as we get to the end and they get the masks and they start getting like that more echoey, epic fucking sound. I thought that was so cool, and you just couldn't have done that with the original voice.
I agree. That's the moment they should have switched. Like that to me, like when there's like the big boost up, change up of them becoming their characters. Then I think from the moment that Chris Hemsworth was doing his Peter Cullen impression, I was like, Peter Cullen would have been better. Having said that, Chris Hemsworth kicked ass. I can't believe it. Like I'm going to put up there as like one of the best primes we've had. Like I am shocked because I was just like going in. I'm like, it's Chris Hemsworth. It's going to be so distracting or whatever. I'm not saying I loved it, but like for me, for somebody that rocks so hard for Peter Cullen, shout out to you, Chris Hemsworth. Like you definitely held your own. And yeah, to Andy's point, Brian Tyree Henry kicked fucking ass. Like I think especially when he was playing the D16 iteration of Megatron, like so damn good, and I can't wait to see where they go with that. Scarlett Johansson, take it or leave it, but didn't get in the way of the story. I think Alita 1's character was fine anyways, but then the Bumblebee, that was the thing for me that I'm a little torn on, because the humor, some of it worked for me, some of it was just predictable, and I was like, whatever. Made me laugh a lot, like a bunch of different times I laughed. I think that similar to a lot of my other complaints about the trailer, I thought it was just going to be this stupid comic relief for no reason. Having him be this kind of like hermit that was like, has been alone for a long time with an actual reason to make him this wacky and crazy, and like him having his like fake friends and stuff. I'm like, it contextualizes it story-wise enough for me to buy the Keegan-Michael Key Bumblebee. And at the end of the day, I'm just happy we're hearing Bumblebee talk, and we don't have to deal with this freaking him not talking for some reason like we have for the last 15 years. I love this movie so much.
I enjoyed Bumblebee more than I didn't for sure. And you make such a great point about this not having humans. And it reminds me of leading into all the theorizing for the first Spider-Man movie and all of us saying, we don't need another origin story. We don't need to see another Uncle Ben death scene. We've been there, done that. It's okay to just kind of start when we all kind of expect Peter Parker to be kind of like mid or the beginning of his career or whatever as Spider-Man. And it felt really nice not having to worry about more humans reacting to seeing a Transformer for the first time. It's just been done so many times and it feels like it gets worse and worse every time. And it's like, cool, we don't need humans here. That's not going to be an aspect of like a gimmick that you can kind of play for comedy or whatever. These are just these Transformers in their kind of, in their home base or whatever. Yeah, in their prime, exactly.
God, on Cybertron.
How do we feel about Steve Buscemi as Starscream?
Here's my thing, man. Like, this movie has Steve Buscemi as Starscream, and the moment I heard that, I'm just like, okay, this movie can't be bad. Like, this is brilliant. It's brilliant. Is it my favorite iteration of Starscream? Far from it. Far from it. But I loved it, and I think it's an inspired choice, and I love Starscream's character in this movie. Kicks freaking ass, man. All of the, I'm so happy with the characterization of pretty much every single character in this movie. And I was telling Andy, the amount of nerd love, there is not a single Transformer in this movie, and there are hundreds that you see that is not a real Transformer.
Oh, that's cool.
And all of them are noticeable just from head design or just color scheme or just whatever. They're just robots walking. We don't see them transform, but it's a couple of them get named. Clearly it's Jazz, but it's oh, that's Ironhide. That's Ratchet. That's Trailblazer. That's literally just going down the line. You could look at anyone and know who it is. That's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, I think a high mark for me was I was not expecting to see the Decepticons. I was not expecting to see Soundwave and Starscream. And when we got them, I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. And it makes sense why we have them. They're I forget what they call them, the old guard or something
Guard.
The high guard, who's been hiding out, and they're kind of rebels now, but they've been militarized, or not militarized, but they've been radicalized because they've been out there for so long fighting the fight, and that makes sense. I was like, this is a really cool angle, and I don't know how much of it is the original lore, because when I was a kid, they just made the cartoon to sell me toys, and I bought all the toys. But seeing it here, I was like, this works as a movie. This is cool.
I will say, as a Transformers fan that has read thousands of Transformers comics and watched pretty much every one of the shows and watched all the movies, I know a lot about this shit. This is, I think, as faithful to the Transformers canon as the MCU is to Marvel Comics, which is to say, mostly, but it makes smart changes. And some changes aren't for the best, but overall, it's yeah, man, this is the definitive version of this. I'm so happy with
having
the lore
zero
choices.
context that you do for that. I'm fascinated that the lore was this good.
It is, man.
I'm happy. I mean, it makes I could have sworn that it was, because when you were a kid in the 80s growing up watching these cartoons, they were surface level at best.
yeah.
They didn't really come in with it. You know what I mean? They needed a new excuse for a new character. They just introduced the character. And so kind of tapping into that, I'm pleasantly surprised that they had this much to pull from and that they actually were faithful to it, because it made a good movie.
Let's get into the plot of this movie, but we're going to do that right after a word from our sponsors. This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside a lot in the sun playing some Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing my Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. You can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. ShadyRays.com. Use code KindaFunny for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. This episode is brought to you by Hims. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we'll always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims has treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing access to affordable sexual health treatments, all from the comfort of your couch. No insurance is needed. Pay one low price for your treatments, online visits, ongoing shipments, and provider messaging. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/kindafunny. That's HIMS.com/kindafunny for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/kindafunny. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products, which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions, details, and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. I'm sorry I'm going like a mile a minute, guys. I'm just really excited about this movie.
I'm excited for you. I want Andy to sing some Linkin Park right now. Just something.
Let's see. You start. I'll think of one. I'll interrupt you.
Okay, you come in, ladies and gentlemen. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, we get Primus. Now, of course, Primus being the first Prime makes me think of the band Primus,
Of course.
with arguably the best bass guitarist on the planet.
Well,
And I
he
love this.
idolized Geddy Lee, so let's chill out. First off,
Okay, but you idolize me, but you'll never be me. So like,
Exactly. And did
Fucking-
they do the South Park intro? I don't think so.
that's true.
yeah,
What was
Yeah.
his name?
Primus,
The bassist, the one.
Les
who's-
Claypool.
Oh wow. Okay,
Dang,
he got
he
that.
pulled that
He
out.
got that bitch ass.
Joey, do me a favor, turn his mic down. Just turn it
got
off.
my bitch ass.
Turn his mic off. Ladies and gentlemen, Primus created the 13 Primes, an elite. I'm going off the wiki, by the way, because I just saw this film last night. An elite group of warriors and became the planet Cybertron. This right here is just sick. He was like, I love you guys so much. I'm going to become this massive planet, Cybertron, where all the Energon will flow through and everyone can have cool free power and free energy. And I love that they actually eat the Energon like it's little cubes of cereal.
It's awesome. And I love this because you guys know Unicron from the other movies and stuff. But it's like, yeah, like the ultimate eternal struggle is between Primus, which is Cybertron, and Unicron, which is Unicron turns into a planet-sized thing, but also eats planets. Like, I just can't believe we got this in a movie. And I also think it was a really smart call to so many Transformers movies open with here's the lore and legends of where we all came from and whatever. It's so fucking ugh. But like this being Optimus, like seeing it in the archives and kind of having that zoom out moment where it was like a in-world lore dump, I thought was really smart.
Absolutely. I did skip that part. This is the Wikipedia is just sort of doing this, but obviously we meet Orion Pax. He's sneaking up the side of the building into this archive, and this first shot is stunning. Like him running up the little ramp, I was like, oh, this is gonna be something cool. I'm like, this was the first indication for me where I was like, at the very least, this is gonna be a fun movie to look at for sure.
Yeah.
He's sneaking in. We've got a little comedy here where he's got to blow on the disc a little bit because it's not working, whatever. We get the whole knowledge dump, which is that the Primes perish in a war with alien species known as the Quintessons.
Quintessons.
Quintessons?
They were in the 1984 movie as well, briefly, but I can't believe they're in a real movie this much.
They were resulting in the mystical artifact known as the Matrix of Leadership being lost to time. Without the Matrix, Cybertron's Energon has dried up, forcing Cybertronians to mine for deposits deep beneath the surface to survive. I think this little paragraph here is skipping ahead a little bit, so we'll just go over here. After being caught by the security, Orion's best friend and miner D16 saves him from capture.
Real quick, this is where when Orion Pax is caught, and for audio listeners who just like to listen to the show and not watch the movie, Orion Pax is Optimus Prime. That's just like his pre-name or whatever. So I didn't know that shit. I had no idea what he was before that.
Do all Transformers have two names?
Well, no, because like he became a Prime.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
like that's like, I mean, in the 86 movie.
It's like your Christian name, Joe. It's
Oh.
sort
Kind
like
of.
that.
Confirmation
Right.
name.
But like
Yeah.
Hot Rod then became Rodimus Prime.
Oh,
you
got
know,
it,
so it's like
okay.
and then Megatron renames himself.
I ask you this
I
every
missed the
time we talk about
1984.
this, but who's got the better glow up? Optimus Prime, or Rodimus Prime?
I love Optimus, man.
Dude, Rodimus was
Here's
so
my
sick.
thing. Yeah, but Hot Rod's cooler.
Hot Rod is pretty sick.
Hot Rod way cooler than Orion Pax. but Optimus Prime cooler than Rodimus.
You know, they
Prime.
sat in a room somewhere, a
Orion
bunch of
Pax is a
dorks,
sick-ass name, though.
a bunch of
So
fucking
cool.
dorky dorks just like us back in like 1983 sat in a room someplace when they were making this cartoon for the first time and they were trying to name all these characters and they had a fucking blast.
Just
Jazz,
smoking a bunch of
Bumblebee.
doobies.
Somebody was like this. And it was like the last little bit and he was like, Starscream. And it was like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah. So
Sick.
the first indication that I had that I was going to enjoy this movie is just this little comedic beat where he gets caught and Chris Hemsworth has that great kind of comedic beat with these security bots or whatever and he's like, well, he's like prepping to like kind of like mesmerize him or whatever and it's just a quick cut of ding,
Him-
ding, ding, ding,
him running
just
away.
him running away and it's such a small little thing but that's where I knew they are going to do comedy better than worse, you know?
And as a nerd, this moment meant a lot to me because in a lot of the other Transformers movies, there's been a ton of times I'm watching a trailer for even like the one last year, Rise of the Beast, and like I'm excited because I'm like, okay, there's a Rhino, that's Rhinox, and oh, that van vaguely has some things that they're going for Wheeljack. Like I get what there's like allusions to things. Whereas this, it's like, oh, that's Blitzwing, and he looks like Blitzwing, and he talks like Blitzwing, and they call him Blitzwing,
Yeah.
and they're just like, this is who he is, and that's freaking awesome. And I was like, I can't believe that we're starting off the movie with Primus and Blitzwing and all the things. I'm like, oh, they're just nailing this. This is so awesome.
Love, by the way, just the character design. I think we established here he doesn't have a cog. None of the miners have cogs. They're physically smaller, and more importantly, they cannot transform. If you don't have a cog, you can't transform. And all the basically elite group that work for Sentinel Prime, they all have cogs. They're all bigger. I think that's super cool. I love
I didn't
the
need the word
transitions.
cog said so many times.
I didn't need the word minor being said so many times.
A lot of minors,
it really
a lot of
took me
cogs.
out of moments, even though it was a different type of minor, but it was just
It's
very,
tough.
very funny.
It's
I
tough.
did not think about either of those things.
I was just hoping, let's just say like,
Wheel
gear something or whatever, but just like a lot of like, oh man, you're missing your cog, huh? Like I got a big old cog over here. Like it's just like I needed less cog talk.
I can't believe we got Kong. I'm so happy.
I would have, if I were a voice actor, I would have been cog.
I am shocked I did not put that together. The entire movie, I was like, cool. The minor thing got me because I was like, they just said it a lot, which is
Yeah.
funny. Like, got to get back to those minors. I was like, ugh, we can't be saying shit like that. Love this first beat of comedy as well. This is a great action sequence where he has to run away. Of course, he can't get away from them because they're just faster and they can fly and they can transform. We get to D16, who saves his bacon and sneaks him out with a minecart. And of course, we have a great back and forth with these two. They're best friends. And he was like, hey, man, you saved my bacon again. He's like, we'll always be there for each other. I'll always save you, basically, which is going to be a nice little foreshadow to the end of the film.
You know what his helmet reminds me of?
Darth Vader's
D16?
helmet?
No, it reminds me of Juggernaut in the Fox movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think they were all based on the same general, like, stormtrooper Nazi sort of like helmet, right? Wasn't that what Vader's helmet was based off of? Like an old SS, like,
No, I thought it
Stormtrooper
was
from
based
Germany?
off of something from like Japanese samurais, like the
oh, maybe
the
that was.
headpiece
Maybe
going
that's
down or
fair.
whatever.
Okay, never mind. Disregard that, please.
Mm.
Stricken
Disregard
from the
that.
record.
There you go. Stricken. We are introduced to Icon City, and then Orion Pax. They got to go down there. They got to mine that mine. We're introduced to Elite One. Who is their
hold on,
boss?
before
Yeah.
that, when we're on the train with Optimus
he gives
or
him
with
the sticker.
Orion Pax and D16, he gives him the Megatronus Prime sticker, which is the Decepticon logo. And just a little thing about this that I love is, first off, their friendship, I think, is so perfectly shown here, of him being like, look what I got you, and like him actually being stoked about it. Like, just such a great little sign of the respect that they have for each other as characters, but also such a great throwback to the toys where you'd put the sticker on the toys, and I'm just like,
They
God,
have
this
one
so
great line where he's like, "Don't reach for it. You're gonna bend it."
good." Yeah.
And I love that.
Great, man.
And I also love just the sort of like the irony or the sad irony of him idolizing this Prime that died as a fallen hero and him corrupting that logo to become a Decepticon.
I know.
I think it's hardcore.
Yeah,
and how
it
he
is.
gets the logo in his chest to begin with, which again,
Oh,
this is not a PG
brutal.
movie. If you're trying to take your 3 to 5 year old to this, do not. Because there's some shit in this that will scar them for life, as it was scarred D16. Anyway, we go down and they're like, hey, got to go back to work. We get a couple shots, I think, of them now in the locker room. They go down into the mines, and this is where we meet Alita 1, who's played by ScarJo. And I like ScarJo. I think she was fine in this. I thought she did good. And obviously I'm a little nostalgic and I'm a little, it's easy for me to like these two particular actors together because we've seen them as Avengers for the last 20 fucking years. So
Someone tweeted out something funny though. It's like apparently Black Widow and Thor only interacted for like one scene or
In, like, the first
something,
movie.
in like
That's so
in
funny.
all of it, which is hilarious to think
that's
about.
really
but
funny,
That's how
actually.
the MCU goes.
Yeah.
My issue is not necessarily with her performance. It's just that she's just always Scarlett Johansson and never, like, she doesn't melt into the character very well. So it's always distracting.
That's
She's a
why she can
distracting
play
voice
any
for
role,
me.
Joey. Any role.
And
can
she
transform.
did a lot of roles that she gets she's not supposed to.
Weirdly
Asian
enough,
women sometimes, yeah. I when I was hearing her, I was like, I kind of just wish you were like Haley Steinfeld because Haley Steinfeld just kicks ass in like every role that she's in. But also, I think something about like ScarJo's voice, it is just ScarJo, and
Yeah.
I was hoping for something else. I don't know.
I'm just happy that the character was Alita 1 and not RC because RC should be a later generation thing, and they knew, man. Alita 1's the older one.
she of course she's the manager here, and she's like, we're going to go. I got a perfect record. We're not screwing that up. And we set the stakes of being like, look, there's protocol. You don't break protocol. If you don't break protocol, you get promoted to the next rank. But low key, we all sort of start looking at that, being like, okay, well, the next rank is just another level of oppression because these people are not being treated well as they have to go under in this very, very dangerous area. And I love when we start seeing Cybertron and sort of the environment that they're in and how it's constantly shifting and constantly moving. Of course, they have to go in and they have to mine for Energon. As they're doing so, the cave starts to collapse. I love the supports they throw in.
Yeah.
Sick.
Really
we get
cool.
the first moment of Optimus sort of being a hero here, where he will not let Jazz stop, and of course D16 comes, or not let Jazz die because Jazz gets trapped. D16. They use the little jetpack. They save him, but as they're racing out of the cave, it's starting to crumble. And what does Alita 1 do? She starts throwing those spikes that are the cave like supports up, and I was like, that's awesome. This is a great bit of choreography here, where she's hurling these fucking things at him,
And
and
they're
they're just popping and
crumbling
snapping,
inside.
but they're
Yeah.
giving him just a second to get past that next little bit.
Awesome as shit.
Really, really cool. Of course, the thing caves in. This is a big kerfuffle, and Alita gets demoted. She gets fired basically and put over to waste management.
But like even just little things there. I mean, it caves in on Jazz, and it's like pretty much Optimus has to make the call of just like, and even Megatron has to help out too with his little jetpack thing to get him out. And I'm just like, God, this is so cool. They're introducing characters here. And Alex G 3B in the chat says this is when the touch and power joke happens.
She goes, "You don't even have." You don't have the touch or the power. Yeah, that's a great moment.
I did like the bit of humor there where I guess it's Jazz who's trapped, and he's like, save yourself, just go ahead, and then Optimus kind of alludes to the fact that, all right, cool, I am leaving or whatever, and he's like, no, wait, I wasn't serious. And then he ends up like just staying there or whatever, but I thought that was a good little bit of humor.
From here, Sentinel Prime returns to Iocon because he has not found the Matrix power up on the surface. And you're like, oh, that's a bummer. He's like, don't worry, we're going to keep going. But everyone gets tomorrow off because it is the big Iocon 5000. Iocon. I want to say Iocane powder, of course, from Princess Bride.
Of course.
My
But it
favorite
is
movie of
not.
all time.
Iocon 5000 race. And this is where Optimus Orion gets a big idea. He's like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to end this race. And he's like, and
love a
D16's
race.
like,
Big pod
we
race
can't-
vibes,
Man,
man.
I just love a
Big
race.
pod race vibes. The crowd, everybody walking into and there's the Glub Shido or whatever.
Yeah.
But don't go, whatever the fuck.
Remember the two
Oh, wait,
announcers
that
that
crowd.
kept talking? And you're like, great, more of those guys. We need those guys in this. The two announcers. Anyway.
Puto. That's a bold
But
mistake.
all the people in the crowd, they're all known people. And they did it very grouped where it's like, oh, here's all the characters from the animated movie where it's like
There's Muffler
Springer
Man
and
here,
RC
fucking-
and
Oh, that's cool.
Cup and all them. And like you just go through. I'm like, God, man, this is so sick.
Honda Civic's over there.
I also I want to point out this is interesting because we have two friends, by the way, that are not diametrically opposed to each other. But one is obviously I want to play by the rules. We can't do this. I want to just follow the thing. And then you've got Orion, who is like hey, we got to go make our mark on the world. And they have an honest and nerds conversation where he's like, we're going to go do this race. And he's like, hey, we can't do the race because, hey, we can't transform. There's no way we can keep up with them. There's no way we can win. And he goes, even if we get second to last place, if we beat one person, it'll prove to everyone else that we're worth more than what we are right now. It's
More
interesting.
than meets the eye.
More than meets the eye.
That's what he says.
Very cool. And he's like, no, we're not going to do this. Okay, don't worry about it. I'm just going to sneak us up to this cool spot so we can watch the race. And they start watching from the actual start line, which is cool.
So sick.
And of course, as the viewer, you're watching this going like, okay, that thing's going to disappear any second and they're going to be in the race. And sure enough, of course, they are in the race. Optimus has brought their jetpacks so that they can fly, and this is just a great fun sequence. So
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out
Dude,
to
I love the road.
the design of the road going
Ah,
forward.
so
I think
badass.
that's so cool. It's so video game. It's so uniquely unnecessary because they can fly. Why would the trains just not be able to fly?
But
Because it's cool.
Shit,
It's
yeah.
cool.
It's
right?
awesome seeing it just kind of build in front of them.
They have a great race. They get destroyed. They start grabbing people. They start riding people. I love when they start riding, and each one of the Transformers, like their head pops out. Like, get off me! What the hell are you
Yeah.
doing? They get almost first, and then they are taken out by one of the racers. And then he's like, "Hey, second's not that bad." And then, of course, all of them surpass,
Yeah.
and they get last place. They are put in the in jail basically, and D's like, "Hey, we're screwed. You screwed us for the last time." And of course, no, they're not. Sentinel Prime comes, and he's a cool guy. I'll say it right now.
Chill.
Kind of guy you want to hang out with.
John
So
Hamm.
charming.
Kind of guy you want to have a
Dude,
beer
it
with.
did not sound like John.
It
Hamm.
didn't.
Even when Tim kind of busts out his phone and disturbed nobody because we were the only people in the theater. Nobody like, hey, I should have yelled at him actually. But he busts out his phone and he turns and he goes, oh, it's John Hamm. I go, oh, okay. And still for the rest of the movie, I was like, I'm not sure, Tim. I don't think it is. Because so many
IMDb is
moments, I
lying.
thought it was Chris Evans. And I would keep on hearing the Chris Evans pop through. I'm like, dude, this does not sound like John Hamm.
I thought Chris Evans. I thought
I'm waiting
I
for
thought
the
Chris
deep-
Parnell just playing it straight.
Ah.
Because at moments like maybe like or like a
Oh,
Sudeikis,
yeah.
I was like
Or,
maybe that's Jason Sudeikis.
What's the other guy? The guy that was the tick?
Oh, Putty.
Yeah, maybe.
No,
No.
You're talking
the
about the
TV
guy
show?
from
Yeah.
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm
also
talking about.
Joe from
Crunk.
Flying over California. Soaring over California.
Yeah, soaring over California.
Found Family
that
Guy.
yeah.
Thank you.
Either way.
Warburton. Thank you,
Warburton.
Alex.
Patrick
Warburton. Thank you. That's Putty. Yeah.
Oh.
He played
Goose
David Putty
Goes
on
Poison.
Seinfeld.
Oh, got it.
Remember there was always that moment where I thought of him the other day because there was that great episode where they're flying back from like L.A. or whatever it is, and she's like, and he's just staring at the back of the seat, and she's like, "Are you gonna like read a book or watch a movie or something?" He goes, "No, I'm good."
Oh.
And he just stared at the back of the seat. She's
Got
like, "That's it, we're breaking up." And now all these stupid kids are doing it on TikTok. Have you seen that?
Mhm.
Idiots. Anyway, I
You talking
digress.
about raw dogging flights like 3 months after.
Hey man,
Made
if
it
it's
real.
on,
vacation.
It made
If
it
it's-
real. That's
No,
if
it
it's
finally
on
made
my
the
Instagram
Instagram.
reels, it's still fucking happening. Okay. Put some and fucking don't wear shorts on a plane. I'm just saying. I digress.
What?
Don't wear fucking basketball shorts on a plane. This isn't your goddamn garage. Okay, you're not in your mom's basement.
Where did that come
I
from?
don't know.
This
You have to
kid's-
talk to Mike, kind of. That's like maybe you're. I don't know that we're the
Oh
issues.
my god, we did that razor store opening,
Uh huh.
and I get to your place to
Mhm.
carpool with him,
Yeah.
and Mike's in full on like basketball shorts and like a very comfortable shirt, and I was like, okay, I guess that's what he's wearing. Whatever. We get to San Jose,
Of
he pulls
course.
over. And just changes in the parking lot. I was like, wow, it's a 20-minute drive. It wasn't even that long. Like, why did you just wear
Did you
jeans?
not know this? This
No,
was
I
a
know
whole-
I
yeah.
thought we shook him of the habit.
No.
No.
I thought we
It-
broke
it
him
got
of this
We
worse.
don't
habit.
have the power.
God.
We don't have the touch either. Okay, but Sentinel Prime not bummed. He was like, hey, guess what? You inspired all the miners, and they efficiency is up 150%. I want you guys to do a cool tour and all that stuff. And they're like, great. But Darkwing Duck is like, I don't like you very much. I'm going to throw you guys down to the sub-basement 50. And they're like, we thought there was only 40 sub-basements. Guess again. They go down there, and who do they meet? Bumblebee. B. Now, I will say my criticism of Keegan-Michael Key is that I think they leaned on him too much. I think there was a little too much improv. I think there was like the knife hand moment was funny. The 30th time they did it, not so funny. Him talking the
I
whole
agree with
time
that.
I thought was very, very annoying and almost took me out of the film. But the fact that he has 3 little buddies that he put together is fucking hilarious.
And Nick, what was one of their names?
Frank, I want to say.
Well, yeah,
What was the other one?
Atron.
Atron.
When I heard that, I was like, "This is the most Nick." Humor
Is that
ever.
a reference to Aaron?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
good. That's what I thought. I started laughing. I was like,
it's just inspired.
I don't know if that's fair, but that was fucking hilarious. Of course, this is where they find the Frank, I think it is, has the chip in his head that shows him a map to where the Matrix of Power, or where the primes went down, and so they're like, hey, if we go up there, we can maybe find this, redeem ourselves, either give it to Sentinel Prime or bring it back from whatever, and we'll be heroes for the day.
I guess this is a good time for me to ask. What is the difference between the Matrix of Power and the Allspark?
That's a great question, Joey. The Allspark doesn't exist.
Oh.
Let's just call that what it is. That's what I was
Oh.
saying earlier. They just kind of made up a bunch of shit that wasn't what it's supposed to be, and then those movies just got so convoluted because they kept having to like try to course correct, and
Got
that's
it.
how we ended up with man, I'm blanking on the magician's name. What's the sorcerer?
Stanley
Famous-
Tucci?
Yes.
The Tucci?
Yes.
Merlin.
Merlin.
Yeah.
That's how Merlin got involved in all this. You know what I mean? They didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
They put
okay?
knights in there. Knights.
Stanley Tucci, just for everybody that doesn't remember, played 2 different characters in 2 back-to-back
That's how
Transformers
good he
movies,
fucking
and one of
is.
them was Merlin.
Hey man,
Like
it's
the-
okay because in Law and Order, it's very, very common for them to be like a criminal, and then
And then a
later the
defense
DA. It happens all the time.
fair.
I also just watched Stanley Tucci in the Hunger Games movies. Boy, is he great.
You
in
also watched
those.
him in the core.
Oh, yeah. That was a
Tooch.
reluctant high five for that one.
Tooch. You love the core. Joey, I'll answer that question for you. The Allspark is just a way fucking cooler name.
I don't
The
know. I like
Matrix
the
of
Matrix of
Leadership?
Leadership.
The Matrix of Leadership is like, can you put that on a bumper sticker? No, it's too
No,
fucking long.
Too long.
Allspark.
All Spark.
It's
Let
a
me tell you,
mouthful, you know?
right? I'm
Yeah,
seeing
I get
T-shirts,
it.
Allspark.
I'm seeing insurance company. Like
I'm
it's
seeing
so
like
close to Allstate.
tires. I'm seeing like spark plugs. Hey,
Okay.
you put this thing on
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
The Matrix of Leadership is like something your fucking vice principal comes up with when you're in
Yeah, it's like a-
school council.
A camp you have to go to in high school
Oh,
that
God, and you dread
makes
it.
it seem like it's going to be cool, but it's really a
And
punishment.
it's specifically
terrible.
early 2000s because like the Matrix just came out too. So
Yeah.
Oh, they're trying to make it
hip.
relatable.
They're like, guys, it's the Matrix of Leadership.
Leadership.
I digress. I'm just fucking with you.
I love the
I
name,
know. I'm just
but this is a fun bit.
Yeah, it's true. It's pretty dope. So hey, here we go. We got to take the train up to the surface. But who should they meet when they encounter there? Alita 1. She is there, and she's taking her job very, very seriously. She's like, I'm not letting you guys on this fucking train because I'm not getting fired again. This is all on you guys. Off we go to the races. She goes to try to stop the train and reroute it. They're chasing her. This gives me very, very much Across the Spider-Verse vibes with that cool train sequence there. You could tell that he was a fan of that because he's like, we're gonna have him fight up this train that's going up the freaking sky, and it works.
So cool. I mean, the choreography and blocking of this is so great, of them kind of going up vertical, and she kind of like changes the polarity of some of the I don't even know what they're called, the shipment boxes and stuff, and it like transforms things and kind of launches it at them to create platforms for her to go on. I'm like, this is just such
It's
a great
cool.
use.
Well,
of the
she
work
doesn't
that they
even
have.
need to change that. The very first one, which is very, very smart, is that as it's going vertical, she just sits on the side of the box. That's going to be the gravity is going to pull her down, and she just watches them as they all fall down.
It's
Which
so
is super
sick,
cool.
man.
It's fun. Obviously, she has that one wonderful moment too later, where she's like, "I'm better than you and smarter than you and everything." But you got a lot of heart or whatever it is. And it's like, that works. That's a good way of putting that. Either way, the fight stops when they break through the atmosphere up into the surface, and they see the surface for the first time. And it is absolutely stunning.
So cool.
Can I
Absolutely
stop you
stunning.
for a second?
Absolutely, please.
No Code Red to add to your Mountain Dew today?
Well, no, I did add Mountain Dew to this one. I added Voltage.
Okay. I just like to be.
Well, because
kept
this
up
one's normally kind of more clear looking.
Oh.
I'm gonna say something, and I
then
don't want you
added
to take
some
this.
Voltage, which is the blue one.
I don't want you to take this the wrong way. There's a black spot on the bottom of that bottle that's really freaking me out a little bit, and I don't know if that's
lighting.
okay.
It does look concerning.
He's gonna keep drinking it, huh?
You need to worry about yourself.
It's just pure black.
This is just tar.
That's so good.
The scene, of
This is
course,
so good.
is quickly interrupted when I think Cybertron is just changing behind them, and a massive wall of land comes to them and knocks them off the train. So they are now on foot. They look over, they see these cool like baby deer. They're like, boop, boop,
They're so cool.
and they're eating this weird stuff they've never seen before, which of course is vegetation.
They're
It's grass.
semi-organic.
Semi-organic,
Come on,
yeah.
man.
Very
I didn't
cool.
really understand what was happening with the world around them, other than that it just looked cool.
Well, Cybertron's just constantly transforming.
So like,
The
so the
Transformer.
train never has issues, or the train is always going to have issues like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing.
Okay.
There's not supposed to be people hanging off the edge. You know what I mean?
Okay, gotcha. It just seemed like, oh,
It's a
but
plot device to get them on their own.
yeah,
It's
that's
fine.
true. But like, I don't know. I was just like,
Not
man,
the
it's-
strongest thing that's happened.
It
in the
must
movie.
suck to really like kind of figure out the, fixing these trains because they're always dealing with like the world crashing.
They're
into
like, what
them,
if
you
the
know?
trains we just put them a little higher? You know what I mean? Like maybe like 20 more feet higher.
Yeah.
That's all good. Of course, they have to walk. They see these things, and but before long, and again, I like how this movie's paced. We get action sequence, moment of like levity or heart, and then boom, right back in the action sequence because the little things start running, and they're like, we don't know what they're running for, but they smartly are like, we should run too. They run.
That's hold on, real quick. Great observation because I think the movie kind of flew by. I didn't have any issues with looking at my watch, like, God damn, we're still. But when I left the movie theater, our showing was at 2:20, so you got to assume the movie started like at 2:15, and we're leaving close to 5. I'm like, fuck, man, that was a long movie, and it just didn't feel like it. Like it was.
How long was
it?
it?
It was like
It was
144.
Yeah,
but it
not
it,
crazy.
It like I guess walking out, I expected that, this is a little animated movie, probably about $1.15, right? Maybe. And it was longer, but it just didn't feel like it because I thought it was really well paced.
Well, honestly, I had theater I saw it in did the standard like 30 minutes of trailers and Coke ads beforehand. Had it not been, I enjoyed the movie. If I had just watched this straight up at home, I think I would have fucking loved this because I think it's a perfectly like timed movie. I think pacing and I think the length of it is great.
We saw it in 3D, and the first
Sorry.
maybe 5 minutes of it, not in 3D.
It was messed up. And with the trailer,
Fun.
Moana's trailer played, and I was looking at it, and Andy came in. And first off, so I sit down. Don't want to go on too long of a tangent here. I sit down, and I'm like, Andy's about to come here. Andy's the one that chose the screening, and it's 3D. I'm like, why would Andy choose a 3D screening? This seems kind of weird. Like, I'm down for that, but that doesn't seem like an Andy move. I'm like, let's see. And I put my glasses on for this Moana trailer, and I'm like, oh, this is bad. Like, some of it worked, and then the outside just looked blurry as shit.
You could still see
like,
like
just
it's
unaligned.
like, oh, things are not working.
And I was like, this is bad. And when he sat down, I was like, Andy, look at this. Is something wrong? And he was like, I can't really tell, whatever. And then when the movie started, both of us were like, oh, this is wrong. This is just so wrong. And I
Tim
just
immediately gets up.
go run and grab the person. I'm like, yo, this shit's wrong. They fixed it immediately.
Oh, we love to hear.
You're
that.
watching, and then you just see like a little. So you see a black slate like slide over the screen, and it's like, oh, the 3D. We both like
Yeah.
thumbs up, whatever.
But I hear
will
over
say-
the speaker,
It's like the
fuck, sorry,
optometrist.
sorry.
Fuck, sorry.
Just the no audio emote going
Yeah.
on.
Sorry, this is restream. I will say though, as much as we love the popcorn here, that's the second technical issue I've had at this theater, and I've only been there like maybe 8 times, and that was the first time was with Barbie, where the house lights were just on for about 15 minutes.
Where did you guys go?
Regal.
The Regal
Okay.
Beagle.
And where I had to like walk out and be like, hey, the lights are still on in there. Like,
They keep them on during the trailers, which is
it.
weird.
Hate it.
good popcorn though. Like, let me
Fucking
tell you.
good
They're still
Oh my
learning.
God.
You know, it's a young theater.
And they sell Mountain Dew Rise energy drinks.
It's a Pepsi place, though.
It is a Pepsi place,
Mountain Dew.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Can't
Can't
back
have
to
Dew
the
without Pepsi.
back to the plot. Of course, they go to this cool like burned down sort of factory city thing, and the Quintessons come and they start scanning the environment, and this gives me that sort of like this is like deep sci-fi
This is so
vibe,
cool,
right? They
man.
see a little bit of a organic thing and they just fucking nuke it. And so we have a great little
It's like
sequence
Wall-E.
here where Optimus has to like they're running, and he grabs B real quick and like pulls him underneath the bridge, and the thing goes over the bridge and like just narrowly misses B's nose, and he's I'm like, this
This
is
whole
cool.
sequence reminded me of playing with toys as a kid. Like it's
But it's
just
like Wall-E.
It's so sick. It's so video game. Like, man, love this movie.
Super cool. From here, of course, we go into the cave, which is a bit of humor here that I didn't need. Where it's like, this is the scariest cave imaginable. It's knife cave, all these things. I'm like, one of the jokes would have worked,
Yeah.
but we didn't need 15 of them, of course. And also, look, I'll say this: like,
Oh,
you
okay.
bring into the movie stuff sometimes that maybe the movie's not there. Like,
I
you
think
bring
Nick
in,
has beef with Keegan
you
Michael
have a
Key.
lot of.
So too.
I do not. He's in a great commercial where he pretends to make pancakes for his family, but it's not. It's like a Best Western commercial. I got no problem with the guy. I think it's hilarious. I think he's very talented. I like the improv movie he did with, I think, Mike Birbiglia. Doesn't matter. Remember that one?
No, but I love Mike Birbiglia.
Great film.
Did you hate
Listen.
Keegan Michael Key as Toad? Did you watch the
No, I
Mario
liked him
movie?
as Toad, actually.
Okay.
Again, I have no problem with Keegan Michael Key. I do have a problem with the fact that he ripped a couple of the lines off from Owen Wilson from Armageddon. I'll just say that. Okay? Because remember when Armageddon,
You
when,
remind me.
when Owen Wilson's sitting in the briefing and he's like, what's the environment going to be like up there? And the guy goes, 500,000 degrees during the day, negative 5,000 degrees during the night, but environment that's going to explode and sharp and kill you, whatever. He goes, oh, it's the scariest environment imaginable. That's all you had to say.
It might have been a callback because who
Keegan-Michael
directed
Key.
Armageddon?
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay.
What movie referenced Armageddon? Transformers 2007.
Go fuck yourself, you idiot.
Barrett, can I please
Quite
have,
the
can I
stretch,
please
but
have the one?
perhaps.
Guys, I'd like to apologize to you because that
Yeah,
makes
and
a lot
Michael
more
Bay.
sense now. And I would like everyone out there to officially consider me fucked myself. I'm officially going and fucking myself right now.
Les Claypool. Put your mic down.
They come in, and this is where we meet all the primes, but the primes have been killed, and this is super fucking cool. The environment they design, how they're killed, the moss growing on them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We meet Mega something Prime.
Megatronus Prime.
Megatronus Prime was like, fuck, he's the cool guy, but
He's
he's
the most
dead.
powerful one.
The most powerful one, he's dead. And then we meet Lawrence Fishburne's character, Alpha Trion.
Hell
And
yeah.
he's still alive. And they're like, shit, he boots back up.
They give him a little energon. They give him a
They give him a little energon. Give him a little bit more because he turns into a fucking cougar at the end. Kicks ass.
Freaking
It's pretty
cool as
sick.
hell, man. Straight up Yoda moment.
He's like, hey, where are we? What the hell time? Oh, we lost. And they're like, well, we won the war. Don't worry about it. He's like, we didn't win the war. And I was like, yeah, I fucking knew it. He's like, we lost the war. Sentinel Prime set us up, killed us all, and now he's working for our real overlords, which are the Quintessons. And I was like,
goddamn
oh,
John Hamm,
shit.
man.
John
bad
Hamm.
guy.
Still hang out with
Sneaky
him. though.
motherfucker.
God,
You know
he's
what I
so
mean?
cool.
I mean, he's such a nice guy.
Handsome, good hair.
Great hair. I think this is where they go up and they scope it out, and we see him bending the knee to the Quintessons, and then they come back and he's like, look, I don't got it anymore, but I can tell that you four are pretty fucking cool. I see cool people. I'm a cool person. Game recognizes game. I'm going to reach into the chests of all my friends and pull out their massive cogs and just shove those into your tight
Why
little
did you-
holes in your chest.
Oh my god.
How did that get so much worse?
Andy started
I
it.
blame this on Andy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna insert that cog in that socket.
That dark socket. And of course, this is the moment we've all been waiting for, right? They finally get their cogs, and they have the glow up, and and they're like they just
get
all
all
turn into
shiny.
badass versions of themselves. Now, Optimus has 3 different variants in this. He's got himself, he's got Optimus, and then he's got Optimus Prime or Orion or whatever, and Optimus Prime. I fucking love his design, specifically at the end of the film when he's got sort of the knights like thing,
Yeah.
but he's got the badass windshield on his
Yeah.
chest. It's so dope.
And the
It's
smokestacks every iteration get taller and
Fucking
taller.
cool. It's so
Come
cool.
on, man.
I'll tell you what I didn't love. Air Arachnid.
Mm-hmm.
They make a
many eyes.
noise 90 million miles away, and
Well,
her,
they see
it's like,
she sees
okay, well,
everything.
those aren't ears; those are eyeballs.
Yeah. I'm with Andy on this.
Think about that, Joe. She's not ear
She's not allowed
arachnid.
to-
Oh, fuck.
You know, she
Whoa!
can't. She can't hear that far away. She
You're
could
not
just
She's
see
not
far away.
eye-arachnid either.
Exa-
But she had a lot of eyes.
No, but she had a buttload of eyes. But
But
like,
maybe she-
But they made a noise a million miles away, and they made it seem like, oh, the eyes can hear that noise. It's like, no, the eyes
Maybe
can
they're
see
programmed
far
that
away.
These
Like,
are Transformers. They don't have the same rules.
yeah, but maybe like maybe one of them like fucking dropped a rock, and then the eyeball saw that rock from a million miles away, and then they all zoomed in,
Like
and then
the
they all
Predator.
hit or whatever. But someone just kind of like, I forgot what the noise was, but someone just made it sound really far
One of
away.
these robots just
And
coughed.
all the eyes locked in. It's like, no, that's not how
I
that
will say
works.
this though,
That's-
the eyes are
Really
creepy.
freaky.
They're fucking cool. And then when the whole thing opens up and she's like,
When she
all
turned
eyes,
around, oh,
Yeah.
that was
I thought
gross.
that was fucking cool.
I don't know that that's the thing that got outside of the suspension of belief.
Almost had some tryptophobia with all the
Oh,
eyeballs.
yeah, it's a lot of
there's
eyeballs.
Too many,
A lot of
Too
eyeballs.
many little segments.
Yeah.
We see also in this that they're giving the Quintessons all of their energon, which is where it's all going towards. The whole thing is just a scam. Of course, he's up against it right now because he owes them more. And he's like, I'll get it for you. Don't worry about that. I'm going to make those miners work like 3 times as hard, extra shifts, yada, yada, yada.
A little bit of Bug's Life almost.
A little bit.
with Hopper.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll get
yes.
you all,
That's
we'll
a
get
great
you all your
call.
energon.
That's a great call. Of course, they see over there, they chase after
Kevin
them.
Spacey.
And this is where.
Fuck, man. This is what a cursed fucking thing, huh? It's crazy.
This is where we get another fight sequence where Alpha Trion's like, hey, your time is now. My time was before. I'll hold them off for you. And they're like, the 3, I guess Decepticons, but the bad guys, pop in and they're like, old man, get out of the way. You've lost a step. And he's like, I'll show you who's fucking lost a step. And he turns into a fucking panther and just destroys all these guys.
So sick.
Just murders all of them.
Bites a dude in half.
I wish Tim were here. Oh, he's right here because I have to imagine that this character has something to do with Beast Wars or something like that. Is there? Why does he turn into a cat-like creature?
I don't know.
It's
This
sick.
is this is one of the things that I was like, I don't even know what they're referencing here. What my first thought is after the Transformers Generation 1 series ended in the 80s, there was Beast Wars, and that was like more of an American thing, but like the franchise Generation 1 continued in Japan. with the series called Headmasters and Target Masters, and then eventually they had Beast Wars Neo, which like they introduced a bunch of like more animal, like the OG Transformers started turning into animals in some ways.
Okay.
So not the Beast Wars characters, but like the characters we knew. That's when like Scorponok was introduced and stuff. I think it had something to do with that Headmaster era, but I don't
Scorponok.
know.
Either way, cool. He gets killed, but not without going out hard as nails, just biting people in half and shit like that.
So sick.
And gives the new Transformers time to escape. Of course, they're like, they're like, how are we gonna get out of here? He's like, we gotta transform, but they don't know how to transform. Man, it's hilarious.
It's a good moment.
His head goes down.
This is a scene that I cringed so hard in the trailers. The way
Yeah.
the way it was edited and presented, of like parts of them popping in and out. I was like, fuck. But they played it a bit more serious. Like it was still a joke. There was still comedic elements.
yes.
But like
I'm being a little facetious. I didn't love it, but it worked.
I didn't love it either, but like I didn't hate it, and I actually hated it in the trailer. But then seeing it in context, I think it's a perfect example of a scene that in the movie, it's a kids movie, y'all. Like we're gonna get some jokes, we're gonna get some things, but like it could have been a lot worse.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. I thought there was some good beats there of like, I don't have wheels. Why don't I have wheels? And it's just like you're just kind of on the ground, and then you have Scarlett Johansson with the one wheel on her foot doing its thing. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time with this.
What I liked is Optimus.
I like the zoom
His
out.
head pops out or pops down. He's transforming it like when he's like fighting one of the guys. Like they swipe at him and he like accidentally dodges with his head, and then later he uses that tactic against Megatron on purpose.
Yeah.
Sick.
I loved
saw-
the cut of. I just love when filmmakers play with audio and like silly visuals or whatever, and like having that moment where it just cuts to like you're at the perspective of these bad guys, the Quintessons or whatever, and they turn and just down the hill, they're falling. You just see like like kind of like far distant audio. I love that shit.
I forget how they get out of this. I think they beat them or something. And,
Alex 3GB also makes a call that what's his face didn't get. He got captured.
You're right. I'm sorry. He gets captured. He does get Alpha Trion does get captured. Somehow Orion and the Transformers get out of this, but then they get abducted by the
High guard.
The High Guard, led by Starscream, who looks like Starscream but sounds like Steve Buscemi, Nucky from Boardwalk Empire.
It's perfect, man. I love the way that they set this all up. I love that it's like they get captured and it's like, who's this by? It clearly seems like it's the Quintessons. No, it's the fucking Decepticons, but they're not the Decepticons yet. And we get the shot of Starscream's bitch ass, one of the greatest characters in fiction, Starscream. What a perfect archetype of a piece of shit right-hand man bad guy that's always trying to one-up you, always trying to just be Starscream. It's just so damn good. And he's sitting there like a piece of shit on his throne, just like he did in the 86 movie. And it's fucking awesome.
Very cool. We see, of course, Soundwave.
Great little joke here with all the waves.
We see Shockwave. Is like, is there anyone who doesn't have wave in their name?
Raise your hand if you don't have wave
Yeah.
in your name.
Shockwave, one character in this that I didn't love his character. It felt out of line for what you'd expect. Shockwave's supposed to be like the most serious of all of them and like the scientist, the one that's like really on some evil ass shit that's helping. Like without him, Megatron could not achieve what he's trying to do. And this he kind of just felt like the butt of the joke of like getting hit in the eye. But
Pretty funny.
I'll take it.
From here, of course, that we're also, by the way, D16 is getting more and more like kind of aggravated and angry, and his rage is starting to come out. And when I think we had a scene here where he's like, we have to go stop Sentinel Prime, and he's like, I don't want to stop, I want to kill him. I want to torture him, and I want to show him what it was like to live under his thumb and then fucking kill his ass. And you're like, oh, he's turning a little dark here, and we see sort of like rage in his eyes.
His eyes, the yellow starts getting darker and darker.
and darker and darker. Which also shout out to just the eye animation in general in this. When they're sleeping, when they're there, the facial and eye animation I thought was really, really cool and really worked well for this. Of course, Optimus or Orion has a different plan. He's like, look, here's what we need to do. We need to go back and we need to take back, we need to overthrow basically Sentinel. And we have this recording of him basically. We have a recording of him copying to all this stuff, colluding. We just need to show everyone that. We'll go take him out. And they're like, well, we don't have an army. He goes, well, I have an idea where we can get people, but also like all of us, you guys could help as well. You'll come with us. You'll be our first wave of fighters. And they're like, cool. And he goes, cool. And then we get the line that we've all been waiting for, where he's like, all right, I forget what he calls him. High Guard? No.
Transformers, right?
Transformers is what he says?
Oh,
yeah.
wait. I don't remember what it
The
was.
roll out
and he
moment?
goes,
Yeah.
roll out. And you're like, oh, that was anticlimactic. And then Scarlett Johansson goes, hey, you got to say a little louder. And then he goes, roll out. And then it just kind of cuts and we move on. And I'm like, what a tremendous wasted opportunity for this. Like, that was just such a dour note for me. Like, just a limp biscuit. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? This is like the line, like, roll out, you know? Like, it should have been a moment, and they played it for jokes, and it just didn't work.
I didn't like the joke. I mean, we've just seen the joke so many times of the, I can't hear you with all that
Yeah.
stuff. And it's just like, damn it. Like, not like this. But
I mean,
it led to an
gave me-
amazing fight scene.
It gave me a giggle. I just like as much as overplayed as that joke gets in a lot of movies. I just always love when the character with the voice far away from the microphone going, "What was that?" Like, it just works so well for me.
This
But
fight
I-
scene was
but-
incredible, though.
But it could have been more hype. I still
Yeah.
agree.
They are, of course, attacked here. D16 and gets captured, I think, along with some of the other people. Prime gets away, and he's like, shit, what are we going to do? Actually, I think that happened first, and then they go back and they rally the troops, and he's like, we got to roll out. We got to go save D16. This is where we go over to Iocon, and Sentinel's like, hey, old man, what's going on? And the old man starts monologuing. He's like, dude, this is what I had to deal with for the longest time. And he just cuts his fucking head off. He's like, am I wrong? Is it me? Like, these guys suck, right? They're just so old. They just always monologuing about, we're losing this war and loyalty and all this shit. And he's like, fuck these guys. And meanwhile, Arachnid's like, yeah, fuck these guys too. And then Orion goes down and he rallies all the miners. And these are where all of our these are where all the Autobots are going to come from, right? Because you see Jazz, you see a bunch of other people down there, and they're all in their little miner form, which is cute. But their coloring is what
they're
we pay attention
clearly
to.
who they're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be.
And I love this. Like, we
And
get
he-
an awesome speech from Chris Hemsworth doing a dynamite job playing the character.
job.
But I love that this is not Optimus Prime. This is Orion Pax. But Orion Pax has it in him to rally the troops. He doesn't need the Matrix of Leadership.
No.
He is the one that
He is
he
the
earned
Matrix
it. Like,
leader.
it's so cool.
And he says basically, look, Andy, you've been lied to. You were born with foreskin. All of us have foreskin. It's out there someplace. And we can get that foreskin back.
I get where you were going, but man.
It's out there somewhere. Let's recover it.
I don't know who's got it. But we can get it back. It's in a container someplace. Put it back. Put it back. Make us whole again.
Yeah.
From here, we bring on an assault. I'll just skip ahead here. We bring an assault on Sentinel Prime's palace.
Well, before that, we get the High Guard fight where Megatron kind of assumes power over Starscream.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. He like crushes his learnings.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and like I love that Starscream's like fighting back because he doesn't know who Megatron is
Yeah,
at this
he doesn't
point.
know
Like
Megatron's gonna fuck
he
him
thinks
up.
that he's the leader here. The way this whole scene plays out is just
Well, because
It's
Megatron,
perfect, man.
is this the first time we see Megatron's like arm cannon? too?
yeah. When he
Well,
first
that's
pulls it
yeah,
out.
because that's like the
Shit.
that's the real anger kind of coming out of his body, and I just love that. For us as viewers, you know, we're obviously seeing this anger pour out of him or whatever, but for all of these Transformers, you could see the look of like, oh fuck, in like even on these animated faces of like the anger is so red hot within Megatron that he summons this gigantic cannon on his armor, and everybody around us or everybody kind of like circling this fight is like, oh shit,
shit.
This guy's messed up right now. It's like, it's awesome.
and they were all following Starscream.
Yeah.
Like, it's not blindly, but they were the High Guard, and they explained like the High Guard believes that whoever's the most powerful is the leader. And them setting that all up and then having Megatron rage out or D16 rage out and do all that, it's like, God, and seeing them be like, oh, we have a new leader now. It could have felt rushed, and it didn't. It really, this to me, I feel like was a major part of the arc of Megatron becoming
Yeah.
Megatron and not having it feel like Anakin becoming Darth Vader. The way
Agreed.
it
Well, because
happened.
he had already somebody, Assassin Alchemist in the Patreon chat or in the YouTube chat says takes command of the map. But there
Yeah.
is that part as well where he
He's
Takes
like,
it
I got
like,
this.
let's fucking do this.
Right.
So taking this, and Ryan Pax is like, whoa, we can't just be
Yeah.
super reckless about this.
I did skip over a very important part, which was as he's being sort of tortured by Sentinel Prime, he sees the sticker and he goes, "Oh, that's your sticker. You must be a big fanboy of Mega, whatever, the most powerful Prime." Obviously, he's like, "Well, let's make sure that never comes off again." Slaps it on his chest and then fucking burns it
Yeah.
into his
Brands
chest plate.
him with the
brands him,
Decepticon
basically,
logo before
with
it's
that
even
logo,
that.
yeah,
Oh.
which is super freaking cool. Of course, this is where the big fight breaks out. The miners all fly in with their jetpacks, and then they're confronted by the Sentinel's people. or his goons, and they're like, shit, we don't have enough. And then that's where the the guard comes in first, and like, shit, we're gonna get overrun. And that's when the miners come in with their jetpacks, and I'm like, we can fight too. All hell breaks loose. Fighting starts. D16 just beats the shit out of Sentinel Prime, and he's about to shoot him. This is where we haven't seen the axe just yet, but Prime's kicking ass. They're kicking ass. We get a great bit of choreography here, where as everyone's fighting, Prime grabs a guy and transforms into the truck, and in doing so, cuts him in half.
Yep.
So bad.
So
It's
dope.
just insane.
Sentinel, of course, hanging on there. Megatron gets a beat on him with his mega cannon, and he's like, I'm gonna kill this guy. And Prime's like, you can't do it. Like, don't do it. Throws himself in front of Sentinel Prime, and then just gets a hole blasted in his chest. D grabs him by the arm as he's about to fall into this massive canyon, and he goes, you know what? I'm done saving you.
What
And just lets him
a
go.
moment. And his eyes turn red. Holy crap, man.
This is where I'm glad that I got goosebumps thinking about
too.
it, man. This is where I'm glad that sometimes, well, most of the time, I can be real stupid, Tim. And I love that while I'm watching a movie.
I love that about you too.
I love just like getting dumbed down, going down to their level out there in the audience, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody knows I'm the smartest, you know, what constantly looking at themes and all that stuff, Nick.
Yeah.
But I love where I could just go down there and I can even forget small moments like them saying, whoever gets the matrix of leadership is the most worthy. And as Optimus is falling into this cavern that his former best friend, just dropped him
a
down,
hole through his chest.
hole through his chest, broken apart. I'm thinking, how could he possibly recover from this? I guess he's dead. We're never going to see him again. And as he's falling, and they keep doing these really great, smart cuts back to Megatron up there.
Well, it's
And-
D16 as he's taking the cog out of Sentinel's chest that was
Yeah.
Megatronus's, and he puts it in his own self and rechristens himself Megatron.
And they keep doing these smart cuts, and I'm like, but what about Optimus? And I go, oh, wait. Nick, I think he's worthy. You weren't even in the theater, but I said it
I
out
heard
loud. Nick, I was like,
Yeah.
Nick, I think he's worthy. And sure enough, just some of the hypest shit you've ever seen, man.
Well, I want to give a shout out to the music here. As he's falling, it's like sad. It's like ominous at first, and then it turns to kind of whimsical. We start hearing like
Well, the
like
minor
strings coming
keys
in.
turn to some
To
kind
sort
of major
yeah,
keys.
and then he starts
This
spiraling
theme-
out of control, but then in control, and he gets sucked into like the core of
I got
Cybertron.
goosebumps again.
The
That's true.
somber theme playing is the theme from when Bumblebee dies in the Transformers Prime show. So Brian Tyler bringing this back for this
That's
moment.
wild.
I was
really
like,
a
this
cool
is
thing.
so fucking cool.
It's really a cool theme. Of course, he meets Primus. No, and
That was Rush.
that was Rush.
That was YYZ.
Yeah, sorry. He put Rush in my brain. I couldn't think of a Primus song.
There was a rescue driver. Just a goddamn fast. Yeah.
Anyway, and Primus goes.
I can't hear you. The microphone.
He goes. Whosoever holds this hammer, may he be worthy. Will have the power of Thor. And they give him. You got the. It would have been a great moment.
It would have. It would have.
Would have been a fucking. It wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have made any sense.
You know,
Oh,
no.
But it would have
fucking
been-
loved it, man.
The Led Zeppelin immigrant song
Yeah.
moment of this movie.
We'll get it in the sequel.
Hopefully. Anyway, it gives
I
the
feel like
Matrix
they
the
need more
power.
build up to that. No,
I don't know.
I don't
man.
know. You're going to get more build.
You're not gonna get more than
getting
him being
shot through
Optimus
Megatron,
Prime.
falling to the core of Cybertron, and becoming Optimus fucking Prime.
He is now rechristened Optimus Prime. He goes back up to the surface and he grows a badass axe and just hands Megatron his ass. And it's a bummer. And then all the energon starts flowing through, and Megatron's like,
This fight scene is so good, man.
It's
Like
cool.
the transformation, like Prime turning into a truck and using his like legs / like the flatbed or whatever to like trip Megatron, and it's so goddamn. We skipped the whole part of the Sentinel speech going out to the whole city.
oh yeah. Well, yeah. At this point, the
But
speech has gone
the
out to
whole
the city.
city knows.
The whole city knows that Sentinel grabbed all the foreskins. And
Fuck.
Shadow Prime grabbed all of your
You missed-
foreskins.
you missed something.
We're gonna put 'em on
I'm
the
gonna
crate,
give you
gonna
your
put 'em on the
foreskins
train.
back. Oh, you missed a foreskin moment, Joe?
maybe I should have been gone longer. You know, I don't have to be on this show. I wasn't on this series.
You're here, Joe. Sorry.
Let's see. I forgot. Megatron vows revenge. Does he just take off? I can't remember how he leaves. I think he must leave, right? Oh yeah, they roll
He gets
out.
his ass whooped. Yeah.
They get his ass whooped, and he goes, "No, you can just go." Like, which is stupid. I'm like,
Megatron gets his ass whooped, and he's like, "You are banished."
You're banished. That's
Yeah.
right. That's how it is. And then we go. We hear him go, "Hey, man." He starts giving the speech where he's like,
Megatron?
well, I think Optimus.
Well,
starts giving
Megatron
the
starts
speech.
giving the speech where he's just like, he gets banished and he's essentially like, hey, like, I'm not going to live under this tyranny or whatever. Like, who's with me?
Yes,
And then he flies off.
but he
And
doesn't
we
have
get
a speech
all of
till
the
the actual
Decepticons.
post-credit sequence, right?
Well, yeah, the big speech.
Well,
But
that's the
we
big
see
speech.
all the high guard, though, fly off.
They
with
fly
him.
off with him. They are now
Which-
on his team.
In that moment, you know, as a simpleton viewer, I'm just like, why don't they just all? Why does his whole crew just be like, oh, that guy whooped his ass. I guess I'm with him now.
Yeah, he should be
That's a
because
good
he
point.
whooped
You
his
know?
ass.
That's a good
That's
point.
kind of their thing.
Well, no, because they really didn't fuck. They didn't fuck with Sentinel to begin with. So like they were already upset about
yeah,
it.
but Andy's saying
I
that
get-
their mantra is we go with whoever the fucking like
Yeah.
most powerful person is, and Optimus just handed him his ass. So I'd be like, oh, go with this guy.
True.
But also, I always
But
just
they
thought
are
it was
also
cool
d-
that
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
But they were also really going.
The
hell?
Friends was a show that ran for 8 seasons.
It
think
seemed
it's
like they
10.
also just
10.
really agreed with like being anti-prime.
Yeah.
Mm.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like
That's
the
exactly. That's what it
anti-primes,
was. Yeah.
But like,
I think you're just missing the point that the bad guys were airplanes and the
Ah.
good guys are cars.
that's cool.
that is true too. That is true.
Sick. From
I
here,
just love when a transformer's running and it jumps and it becomes a plane. And
all
then
the
it
sounds are so cool.
That's so cool.
I do
man.
also love that the cars look like cars, but they were like Cybertronian cars. They weren't like actual. He wasn't the actual truck. He was just a version of it, which is cool.
Cybertruck.
He gives. Is Elon Musk in this? He gives a
Put your
speech
finger
where
in
he's
and
like,
just slices it off.
he gives an iconic speech where he starts sounding more and more like Optimus Prime, but he of course says we are keepers of our own destiny. We have autonomy. We are our own people. We are our own bots. We are the Autobots.
Oh my god.
And
I got
we are
chills
not going
again.
back.
Roll
cool.
out to the polls.
I love this because they tried to explain
out.
Autobots and Decepticons, and I feel like they did a fairly good job of like this speech is great because it ties in a whole bunch of like core Optimus Prime like things, like the freedom is the right of all sentient beings is like that was like the quote on the back of his toy box back in the day, and they always try to like use that, but it's a little weird to say. Till all are one is like another big Transformers thing.
We go on, we go on. The store, baby.
If you feel it, chase it. But I like that this speech kind of like integrated all of those, but building to why they're called the Autobots. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's fine for me. And of course, by the end of the movie, we get one little mid-credit scene.
Well, even before that, though, we see all the cogs release, and
Oh,
all
right.
of the
Everyone
miners
gets
get the cogs and start to become.
Energon flows throughout
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole planet
Oh,
is
yeah,
now blue
Cybertron's
now.
back.
Cybertron's back. We're back. Quintessons, I guess just leave.
Well, I mean, well, yeah, because they got their ass. Well, those weren't the Quintessons. Those were
Yeah,
the
but they
Sentinels people.
they have one line where he's like, and if those Quintessons ever come back, we'll beat their asses too. I was like, what? Aren't they fucking there still on the surface?
No, those were they're not on the surface. They were like flying the big ass. They're from another planet.
Yeah, but they were on Cybertron, and then we just never see them again when the movie ends.
Like he's talking about when the Quintessons meet with when we had the eyeball moment when they're
Yeah.
meeting with Sentinel Prime and them.
I don't think those are Quintessons. Weren't those Sentinels just like guard?
No, those are the
No,
Quintessons.
those are the
The
Quintessons.
Quintessons won the war and enslaved Sentinel Prime. He was basically their like.
Because they had those like
Because they were
organic
getting
looking
all of
ships
the-
and shit.
They were the ones that looked like the Matrix, sort of like tentacle guys.
Yeah,
Those are
yeah, yeah.
Quintessons. Yeah, they're still up there somewhere. Apparently, presumably, they saw the writing on the wall and were like, "Oh shit, all of Cybertron's like back, and they've got a massive army." So they just left. But we never get. We get one little throwaway line where Optimus is like, "And if those Quintessons ever come back to Cybertron, we'll be ready because we are Autobots."
Yeah.
and I'm like, fuck it, whatever. I just thought they were like on the surface living there.
I
'cause
need
they
to
had
kick a
taken over
Michael
the
Key to be
planet.
like, "Hey Optimus, they're here." Like they're
Yeah.
they're still
right there,
here.
buddy. Right there. I see him up on the
Aren't
surface.
they still gonna want the Energon?
Well, presumably that's what
They-
number 2 is going to be about, which is the
Yeah.
Decepticons maybe partnering with them. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I imagine they'll come back. Either
Oh
way,
yeah, 100%.
we get credits and then mid-credit sequence where he goes back and accidentally cuts his friends' heads off down at the boiler room sub-level 50. Fine little bit of comedy. And then stay for the end. Google it. IGN. Hey, 2 sequences. You got one at the end, and it's Megatron. And he's like, we will not be deceived anymore. We are the ones who will deceive. We are the Decepticons.
And as he does that, we just see all of them getting branded with the Decepticon logo. This is a perfect post credits, and I love it because it didn't need to tease a new character coming or tease anything. It's just building the story. We already knew the answer. We know that this happens, but what a just perfect. I love it because it obviously is setting up a sequel, but it also completes this movie. Like it's like the best type of post credits to me. And I left the theater like, are you fucking kidding me, man? Like we're I hope this movie does well. I hope we get the sequel because Optimus Prime and leading the Autobots now, this Megatron leading the Decepticons against the Quintessons, dealing with all that, we're going to see the beginning of the Civil War. And we're going to go through it.
It's going to be cool.
And then at some point, hopefully many years down the line, Andy, they then go to Earth and we'll deal with them meeting humans for the first time. But after a couple movies.
We just don't need it. That's my thing is
more.
like now that you have these characters that are kind of fleshed out in 3, because the thing is this, like
I don't want to see a human animated in this world.
I don't need it.
The robots look so cool. The hard surfaces look awesome. A lot of greebles and nernies.
The problem has always been
I
for
meant
me.
to talk about that. You don't know what a greeble or a nernie is, Joe?
Oh,
No.
sorry, Joey.
A greeble and a
Is
nernie
this a foreskin
is
thing again?
no, it's like a surface detail thing. You know, like imagine how the Millennium
vein?
Falcon looks.
Uh-huh. Oh, like all the little lines and
All the
crevices.
little tiny little like bit pieces, kind of like a vein.
That was
Yeah,
too good, Nick. I hate it.
God damn it.
greeble and nernie.
What I'll say is this: I don't need the humans, and I don't need the humans because you needed Shia LaBeouf first in the first one because you needed to route it around someone that we could relate to and was a 3-dimensional character. And Optimus, say what you will, was always sort of one-dimensional in the cartoons and in a lot of the movies. He was always just sort of there, and that's why in the first movie you had to have Hot Rod be sort of the main character because you had to have someone start from zero. Optimus was always like, I'm at 120, bro. No one's fucking with Optimus. He's the shit. There's nowhere to go from there, right? And so I think recasting him and having him be Chris Hemsworth and having him be a leader, I think there's a lot more space to play with for the sequels with this. I don't need the humans. Keep the humans out of it. With their stupid little jetpacks, their stupid little things that transform around them, get out of here.
See,
Don't need it.
This movie's proof to me that they can do the stories correctly and actually follow the lore and actually commit to it, and they can do it right. But not yet. That is a third movie at earliest. To like, if the second movie ended with the tease of essentially like the Civil War ending and like them getting sent off to Earth and like all that, I'd be fucking hyped. The third movie could be so sick. They just can't do the same bullshit that they do, which is like, oh, I'm fucking Shia LaBeouf. I'm supposed to be Spike. Yeah, we don't need any of that. We don't need any of that shit. Take it seriously.
I'll tell you what we need, though, Tim.
Megan Fox back?
We do need the touch. We always do.
the touch.
God damn.
Tim?
You got the power.
Oh, that hit. Come on.
They probably can't hear this at all.
Audio
So
listeners,
good.
Absolutely not.
It's
It's
so
absolutely nothing.
Audio listeners, Tim was air drumming along to "You Got the Touch, You Got
It's
the Power."
so
Put it
good.
around.
But
Oh,
for the
here we
video
go.
watchers, it looks like he's air drumming to nothing.
I do it sometimes. It's time for a thing I like to call Ragu Bagu.
Bagu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Bad Guys here for the Transformers movie. Tim,
Yeah.
what's the list?
I'm going to read you the list, and I am not even going to tell you what the movie they are. I'm just going to tell
need
you
it,
what
bro.
is
I
written
don't need
down
it.
here in the order that they are written. At number 1, best bad guy or the most rad bad guy in the Transformers series, we have Unicorn. At number 2, we have Scourge and Unicorn and Michael Bay and Alenda.
Man,
Okay.
I could not
the
tell you what
fuck
any
is
of these movies
Alenda?
are.
So I could tell you. The first one's from the animated
Yeah,
movie.
obviously.
The second one's from last year's Rise of the Beast. Scourge was the main bad guy.
Scourge, yeah.
Unicron did come for a little bit. Michael Bay still was involved. And Alenda was the character that we didn't like. The female lead in
Beast, Rise of the Beast.
Rise of the
Yes.
Beast.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
A third, we have Michael Bay, Shatter, and Dropkick. I don't know why I said kick like that. Quick drop kick. That was Bumblebee. Then we just have Michael Bay.
Yeah.
I'm
the
going to guess
first
that's
one?
Transformers 2.
That no,
First one?
I only know that because of. Let me just read the rest of the list. We have Michael Bay at number 4. Then at number 5 we have Lockdown, Dr. Fraser Crane, and Michael Bay.
Okay.
At number 5 we have Sentiment Prime, McDreamy,
Oh,
okay.
yeah. He was one of the bad guys.
and Michael Bay.
Yep.
At number 6 we have Michael Bay. And at number 7 we have Michael Bay and The Fallen, which that was Revenge of the Fallen.
Okay.
So where are we
Huh.
gonna put Sentinel Prime?
I think he's number
I think-
2.
Number 2.
Dude, oh my God. Come on. Fucking Orson Welles. You can't beat him.
I think you're insane. I love that as a concept.
scary.
But Sentinel's awesome in this. All the
Unicron's
motivations
so
add up.
cool. But Unicron's so cool. Come on, bro. Massive planet going through space.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool.
You're voting for a ship that's going through space.
Nick's making some good points, but at the end of the day, I'm going Sentinel.
He's
can't
dancing
remember-
though, Tim. He's dancing. I think Sentinel's way cooler. I almost wish that Sentinel had a bit more to him. Like I wish he had maybe 15 minutes more screen time to give me
Some
more
more
of a reason.
nefarious things.
To give me more of a
He
reason.
took all of their cogs.
He took their cogs.
Yeah, but like to
It
give
took
me
our
more of a
job.
reason to like hate him more. I don't know. I wanted to like hate John Hamm more, but at the end of it, I still like him.
I will agree. I mean, he's fun and he plays a great character. He's three-dimensional. His motivations are he's way more compelling bad guy than Unicron, but he's not cooler.
Yeah, nothing's cooler than a planet that transforms that eats other planets.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
fucking
agree
sick.
with that.
I'll put him at number one. I'll put
So there you
Sentinel.
go, Sentinel Prime, then number one.
Joey.
Fine.
Now
Those
it's
almost
time to
empty.
rank the Transformers movies. Currently at number one, we have Bumblebee. At number two, we have Transformers the movie, 1986. Number three, we have Transformers Dark of the Moon. Number four, Transformers 2007. Five, Transformers Rise of the Beast. Six, Transformers Age of Extinction. Then Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And finally, Transformers The Last Night. One of the worst movies I have ever seen in my entire life.
Real
That
rough.
whole right screen can just
Yeah, that can suck.
Yeah,
it.
it is-
the
There's
bottom of the bottom for in review.
in my opinion, there's a huge drop off after 4 to the rest of these movies.
Yeah. Was Dark of the Moon that good?
No.
I mean, that good.
Clearly it was.
I mean, there's a huge drop off from 2 to the rest of them, in my opinion.
Fair.
There's a lot of drop offs.
I'll
Large
say this.
cliffs.
I'm going to start the bidding. I think this is number one. I think this might be the best, like, pound for pound Transformers movies we've ever gotten. I think it's, to Tim's point, I think it's quintessential. I think it makes me really appreciate and think there's actual good lore for this series. And not only that, but I think it lays a solid foundation for more good movies, which, let's be honest, after the first Transformers in 2007, I was like, I'm good. I don't think we ever need any more of these movies. But this one, I'm like, I want to see more of Cybertron. I want to see more of these characters. I want to see how they develop. I want to see Autobots coming together as a team, fighting the Decepticons. That's cool. That's what it should do.
I agree. Never in my life, especially after that trailer, would I have thought that you would have me care at all about an origin story for Transformers, let alone one that's animated. Number one.
Easy number one for me.
To me, this is number one by such a landslide. Like, it's not even close. And I love Bumblebee. I love Transformers 1986. I love Dark of the Moon, Transformers 2007. All for very different reasons. Some of them for just being like, for a Transformers movie or for a live action movie or for this. There's a lot of excuses I need to make. There's no excuses for this
This is, like,
one.
actually good.
This is fucking awesome. Please go watch this movie. I need a sequel. Do it for me. Please. Thank you. I appreciate you. Number one, Transformers 1. Boom.
Easy.
I've been trying, let me tell you, trying to talk everybody I can into
Good.
seeing this. And everyone's like, that one? I was like, yeah. I know
they
the trailer
really
was
fucked
bad,
up.
but it's worth seeing.
They fucked up bad. man,
Yeah.
with the marketing.
It's a bummer. It's a real big bummer.
Yeah, it is. Well, everybody, let us know in the comments below what you thought about Transformers 1. We appreciate you so very, very much.
Fun! Where was Marky Mark? Oh my god, I found a Transformer!
Hey, I think we got a
Where was
Transformer.
Marky